Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the August 16th meeting of Infrastructure and Economic Development Committee. On the committee is Mike O'Connor, myself, Gladys Blackmore, Wendy Bosch, and regrets from Mayor Clayton as she had an event to attend. First order of business, we'll call the meeting to order. There were no delegations. We'll first turn to 3.1, Director's Service Area Report, Director Brian Glavin.
Thank you, Chair O'Connor. We'll start off with economic development. Yesterday, economic development, with the support of the Community Social Development Department, launched the Rural Renewal Program for Immigration. This program is an opportunity to work with employers to address current labor needs through immigration pathways, while also ensuring newcomers have the support they need to succeed in Grande Prairie. The full program is now available on cityofgp.com/immigration, and Grande Prairie is currently the largest community in Alberta to receive the provincial designation under this program. Moving on to new business, congratulations. Between June 27th and August 7th, we've had 45 new businesses open in the city. In engineering services, we've posted the 2023 Traffic Signals Design and Construction Supervision request for proposals, as well as the South Bear Creek Baseball Diamond Lighting RFP, which I'll speak to a little bit more in the outstanding items list update, as well as the Bear River Corridor Assessment request for proposals. We've also closed the Storm Drainage Master Plan RFP, the Bear Creek Control Structure Annual Inspection RFP, as well as the 2023 Sidewalk Program Design and Construction Supervision. In transportation, all of our programs are currently progressing on schedule. As well, if you're driving by the City Service Center over the next few weeks, you'll see that we are currently replacing the salt storage shed on site. It's just at end of life. As well, in parks, their programs continue as scheduled, and all of our summer staff generally are done on the 26th of August. So we've got a bit of a push here to the end of the year to ensure we have all of the programs that they're involved with wrapped up by the time they're done. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Looking around the queue, I see a whole swack of people. Councillor Blackmore.
Just a couple of questions, Mr. Glavin, about road construction. So 92nd Street and 68th Avenue, basically that intersection, is that expanding? I guess it's probably 72nd Avenue, right? Is that 77th? Is that expanding that intersection into Country Club North, or is it actually opening an entrance into the land to the west of that?
Thank you, Chair O'Connor. I believe the project at 72nd Avenue is to add a turning lane, and a little bit further to the south, I believe that the land developer will be adding a right-in, right-out, actually a temporary all-directional that will eventually be a right-in, right-out at that a little bit further to the south. I think it's our construction that's kicked off right now at 72nd Avenue, and I'm not sure if the developer has started their construction.
Okay, and then my second question is, can you give us a timeline for completion of 84th Avenue?
Thank you, Chair O'Connor. 84th Avenue, off the top of my head, I believe they're supposed to be done by the 15th of October. I'll have to confirm the exact.
They look like they're further along than that. I was hoping you'd say end of August. I'm sure everyone there is hoping you'd say the end of August.
Thank you, Chair O'Connor. I can provide a more up-to-date projection for that project, either at next committee or I can circulate that to council.
Okay, Councillor Thiessen, then Bosch, and then.
Wow, Director Glavin, you're getting shell-shocked. I got a couple of questions here too. So earlier on my committee, we talked a little bit about power and being able to have the capacity to support larger scale events on the Montrose Cultural Center. Yesterday I was helping out with some of the deconstruction of the Bear Creek Folk Festival, and I spoke with the guy who's providing electricity for there too, and he said that it would be cheaper in the long run and probably better for the city if we sought out ways, maybe with ATCO or otherwise, to add lighting or power generation down at the Borstad Lookout Hill. He said we could probably do it for relatively cheap. do you have any plans, or does the administration have any plans to work with ATCO to power that site, or in regards to the Montrose Cultural Centre, power that site as well?
Thank you, Chair O'Connor. There's currently nothing in the capital plan to enact any of those projects. It's certainly something that, if directed, we would bring back a plan for how we could do that. As Director Miller pointed out, we do have a project that you'll see at Capital for the Montrose site, but nothing for Borstad.
Okay, no, thank you very much for that. And then my final question is, of course, Bear Creek Folk Festival is here. I was walking up and down the streets of College Park trying to look for my car all the time. But the roads there are just pretty, I don't know, they're pretty beat up. And there was one patch that looked like we were just filling a sinkhole, but I don't know if that was just a big pothole or whatever. But do we have any plans in our capital plans to work on the College Park area, especially with the redevelopment plan that we approved last year?
Thank you, Chair O'Connor. So we have an extensive and comprehensive process that we use to analyze the different roads throughout the city and prioritize them on a different basis, with arterial roads having the using the pavement quality index that we have across the city. There's a higher standard for arterial roads, so they receive priority, so that's where most of our focus goes, and then followed by collector roads. So that would be, you know, if you were in Mission Heights, be Mission Heights Drive or Kateri, O'Brien Lake Drive, if you're in O'Brien, some of those. They would receive, they have a higher cutoff, so they receive more attention. And then local roads, which feed onto those roads, generally have a lower PQI threshold before we would go in there. And that's to do with volumes and speed. If it's a high-speed road, you want to ensure that it can withstand the traffic, has a smooth driving surfaces, as opposed to local roads. So the local roads will be in ultimately poorer condition by the time we get them than arterials. But we do have a priority ranking process that we use across the city that our engineering team uses in order to prioritize those roads. As far as College Park for next year, I'd have to look and see if that is on that list for next year. But to my knowledge right now, I just don't know.
Okay, no, thank you for that, candor. And I'm done. You can pass it on.
Thank you. Councillor Bosch.
Thank you, Chair O'Connor. My question is about all the brick sidewalks on 97th Ave. So from Resources ultimately up to 102nd Street. I know there's been some work being done on them this summer, and I'm told that that whole section will be looked after. What's the timeline for completion on that?
Thank you, Chair O'Connor. I'll have to get back to you with exact dates on that one. I'm just not sure.
Do you know how things are going? Are they progressing well?
I'm not sure on that section. I'm just not sure. I'll have to find out, but I can certainly email the group.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Berg.
Thank you, Chair O'Connor. So more than anything, I just wanted to remind people that business licenses are due at the end of this month. I renewed mine. It was no charge. And I like to test the system every once in a while. So what I did is I called the phone number on there just to see how effective and efficient it was. And I think it was a 2-minute conversation, and my business license was renewed. So just a reminder to businesses out there, I know you're busy, it's holiday season, but get those in by the end of the month.
No sidebars. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Berg. Any other questions? Just a comment. Did I hear correctly? Did you say 45 new businesses?
Thank you, Chair O'Connor. Yeah, that's correct.
Wow. Okay. Thank you very much. We will now move on to 3.2, Area Structure Plan ASP, Preparation MDP and Fees. And I will turn the mic over to Alison Downing, please.
Thank you, Chair O'Connor. So at the January 18th committee meeting, planning presented a draft terms of reference to prepare an area structure plan for 3/4 sections directly west of Wood Lake. The ASP would be prepared by city planners, and the city would bear all costs. At that time, the committee expressed concerns that this would give one developer a cost advantage over other developments, and directed administration to explore options for cost recovery. Administration presented a report to the committee in March that explained that costs could be recouped for area structure plans that the city initiates. The purpose of this report is to present a detailed proposal for cost recovery. The map on your screen here shows greenfield areas that do not yet have an ASP, or area structure plan. As you can see, the majority of the city now has area structure plans, and after the city annexed 97 quarter sections of land from the county in 2016, city planners began the process of initiating new area structure plans for the newly annexed land. 3 ASPs have been prepared: Hughes Lake, which covers 19 quarter sections, Bear Creek North, which covers 30 quarter sections, and Northern Lights, which covers 16 quarter sections. So in the city context, the ASP is a high-level document that establishes the general land uses, the transportation network, and the open spaces. They typically cover large areas, at least a full quarter section, and when developers are ready to commence development, they must prepare outline plans. And these plans require more detailed studies to determine the lot layout and the servicing. So as you can see, the process on the screen here is quite a long, detailed process to do development. In smaller municipalities, such as the county of Grande Prairie, they do have ASPs that have that additional detail, and it is the final document in their land development process. But at the city, we have that additional step. So for the ASPs that the city has initiated, the ones on the screen are the ones that the city has done. So we've done ones for large areas. A few decades ago, a lot of ASPs were done. And then as the city boundary was developed out, the ASPs and outline plans were done by the developers. So there are many options on how the city could go about recouping costs, and administration has come up with a recommendation to alleviate some of the risks that we identified with the process. So what we're recommending is that the cost recovery fee be established as a flat fee per hectare, and the fee should apply only to new future ASPs that have not yet been done by the city, and the fee should be applied at the subdivision or development stage through the imposition of conditions. It should only be collected once for lands, so once we've collected it, we wouldn't collect it again. And it should apply to the gross area minus undevelopable lands or municipal reserves, so for park space. So if a developer wants we ask them to subdivide out a school site, we wouldn't charge them this fee on top of that. And the cost recovery would expire after 20 years from the adoption of the ASP. So when coming up with these recommendations, we had identified some risks. The ASP might not directly benefit the landowner that is being charged the fee, and I've explained some of those reasons in the report. And the landowners that are doing the subdivision might not be aware that this fee is going to exist for their land, so there would be some education there. And it is difficult to get that information out the way that it exists in a municipal development plan and fees and charges, because it isn't a fee that is typically expected. And finally, the tracking and collecting would be challenging. We would have to set up tracking. We do have other types of tracking that exist for this for purposes similar, like off-site levies, but it is over 20 years, and it's attaching to subdivisions that have not yet been established as land, so it's a little bit difficult. And so administration was looking for the best approach given those risks. So thank you.
Thank you for that report. I have Gladys Blackmore in the queue.
I just have two quick questions, Ms. Downey. So what percentage of area structure plans in our history have been done by the city and by builders? Like a thumbnail kind of guess. I'm not asking for a definite figure. Like more than less, or?
Thank you through the chair. I would estimate, based on the map I have here, about half. Typically, when an area structure plan covers a very large area, multiple sections of land, that wouldn't be something that a developer would take on, because you'd have to arrange a lot of landowners together and cover those costs. So ASPs are more typically done when a developer says, I want to do this quarter section. The city hasn't done an area structure plan yet, and I want to get this project underway. So,
okay. I'm just wondering why we would suddenly start charging a fee for this when we haven't in the past. And I'm wondering also if we've had consultation with UDI, the urban developers.
Thank you, through the chair. Yes, the reason for charging the fee was this was a motion made by council to come back with this mechanism. And UDI was consulted and supported this fee.
Okay, Councillor Bosch.
Thank you, Chair O'Connor. Thank you, Ms. Downing. My question is, I'm new to this committee, so you got to help me out. This is a fee that hasn't been charged before, and potentially the landowner doesn't even know about it. Is it possible, you would have a list of landowners in this whole area that we have taken, potential land use for. Is there a way of notifying them that this charge per hectare will be, added to them, or can we notify them so that they can either increase the cost of buying that land to the and tack that onto the developer, or the landowner just eats it? Like, somebody should know what's coming down the pipe if they're going to sell that land to a developer.
Thank you, through the chair. So the landowner won't be paying this fee. The landowner may sell the land and gain the benefit of selling the land because it has an area structure plan, but when we got a legal opinion on it, it's not the landowner when they transfer the sale of the land that will pay this fee. It's the developer who goes to do a subdivision or a development. So it would be difficult to notify them because they don't exist yet. They haven't bought the land for the purpose of development and initiated the process of developing it. We would certainly let the landowners of new area structure plans know that this is the mechanism in place, and get the information out to developers in the community. UDI does a great job of sharing that in the community, but it would be difficult to notify people who are affected because they aren't affected quite yet.
Okay, perfect. I misunderstood your comment about the landowners not knowing, so good to know.
And comment, one of the key things about an area structure plan is we'll expedite the development of the land. So this shortens the timeline. So I think this is a good thing for future developments. Am I correct in assuming that?
Thank you, through the chair. Yes, this is the reason that the city initiates these ASPs, especially after the annexation, is the intention and the goals of the city was to make this land as attractive as possible for development.
Thank you. And Councillor Bressy.
Great, thank you. I'm trying to figure out, in terms of this would in my mind create a disparity between the areas that we haven't done ASPs for and the ones the city initiated ASPs we already have done, and just get an understanding of how that impact might shake out. I'm just curious, how did administration prioritize which ASPs got done first? So for example, why have we done Northern Lakes, but we haven't done the ASP next to it? Just how'd that priority level shake out, and why do we still have areas of land that we haven't done ASPs in?
Director Glavin.
Thank you, Chair O'Connor. So part of it was going with the annexation. So that's why we did Northern Lights, the Bear Creek, as well as Hughes Lake. And some of it also goes to where the sanitary infrastructure was. So places that were likely to develop sooner than others would have got priority for us doing an area structure plan there, as they're most likely to develop.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I see no one else in the queue. So thank you very much for your report. Thank you, Ms. Downey. And we will move on to... Oh, I think I do. Would you be happy to make that, Ms. Black?
I can make the motion. So I move that committee direct administration to bring municipal development plan and fees, rates, and charges bylaw amendments to council for consideration based on the following. Number one, the ASP preparation fee would apply to any future area structure plans initiated by the city. Number two, a flat fee of $61.48 per hectare would be charged to the gross area of land minus undevelopable land and land held by the city for municipal reserve. And three, the area structure plan preparation fee would be collected at the subdivision or development permit phase. Having made that motion, I am going to take the unusual step of speaking against it. I can't speak against a motion. Then I don't want to make the motion because I want to speak against it.
Okay,
So-
Councillor Bosch. And I would like to, before you do that, accept a friendly amendment to the fee at 61.38, plus or minus inflation. Is that something acceptable? Because we don't know what that's going to look like in 20 years. We can just amend it?
Redo the bylaw.
Redo the bylaw. Thank you, I'm out of order. Okay, go, Councillor Bosch.
Thank you. Do you want me to repeat the whole thing or just change my name?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Can I speak against it now?
What she said.
Okay, speaking against this, Councillor Blackmore.
I understand that administration did this work at the request of council. I didn't support it at the time, and I don't, I was ambivalent, and now I'm less ambivalent. I really feel that by developing area structure plans, we're opening the city up to development, which is the whole point. And I don't feel that we need to build any extra barriers to creating that incentive for people to develop land. We've never charged an area structure plan fee before, and I don't think we need to start now. So I will vote against the motion.
Go ahead, Mr. Bressy.
Yeah, I don't get a vote today, but if this does pass and does come to council, I'd be a hard sell to support this. And I get the idea of putting city developed ASP land on an equal basis with privately developed ASP land. But I think the issue is the boat's already sailed. It's if this was a conversation we were having a few years ago before we started doing ASPs, so that this would apply to all city-led ASPs, then I could get that equity perspective. But right now, we're just saying, hey, the least desirable land in the city, we're going to increase the cost of development on because we've already done the more desirable land for free. And that just doesn't seem very fair to me. So I'd encourage committee not to ask administration to do this work, because if it comes council, it's not going to be something that I'm likely to support.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding, and I'm going to ask administration to clarify the statement. This expedites the system, and they're going to recover the costs anyways. So I'd like to pass that off to Director Glavin, because that's not what I'm hearing what you said.
Thank you, Chair O'Connor. So with regard to preparing the ASPs, it does expedite development. Whether or not we charge somebody for it or not is not really relevant in that. That's more a discussion for council as per the motion. So if this were to fail, the city could still prepare ASPs. We just wouldn't charge the landowners for them.
No other Councillor Bosch.
Okay, so what you're saying is if this is defeated, then we can just still go ahead with doing the ASPs, but the charge would not be reflected?
That's correct. So we could still go out, do the work of an ASP, bring that forward as a bylaw to council. Council could debate it, approve it, not approve it. That none of that work would change. The sole purpose of this discussion is whether or not landowners or the future developer who subdivides that would pay a fee for that ASP having been prepared.
Okay, thank you.
And my understanding is that the developer, this would expedite his process, still going to pay a fee somewhere along the line. Either they pay for it and we're expediting the process. And this was Councillor Lehner's idea to bring this forward. And I think we should support this. But if you don't want to, I think that's up to council. So I'll call the question right now, call a vote.
Mayor Clayton votes in favor.
Mayor Clayton votes in favor. Okay, and that vote is carried 3-1. Thank you. With that, we'll now, there is no other correspondence, and we'll slip down to number 7, the outstanding items list.
Thank you, Chair O'Connor. We'll start off at the top here with the South Bear Creek lights. So there's a motion that we explore the option of repurposing the lights at South Bear Creek. So we have had the lights assessed for the structural integrity, or the standards assessed, and they are suitable for continued use. Now the question becomes, are they suitable to meet current standards for fast pitch or any of the baseball activities that we have there? And this kind of stemmed from, would have been a few years ago when we had a fastball championship here where they had to bring lights in. So we have a RFP out for new lights and reuse of lights at South Bear Creek. So as part of their work, they're going to assess whether or not the light standards can be used as they are, whether their height needs to be increased, or whether it's just the orientation of the lamps currently that are causing the issue with the use. So we have reached out to the different baseball associations, and we'll continue to work with them in advance of actually installing any new lights there. So that work will be ongoing through the winter, with installation to happen during the next season. Moving on, today we addressed item 1188, and that will move on to council. And with that, there are no other updates to the outstanding items list.
Any further questions for Director Glavin? If not, we will call this meeting adjourned. And oh, sorry, we got a vote. I always miss that part. Okay, Councillor Blackmore.
I move that the committee receive the August 16th, 2022 outstanding items list as amended.
Thank you. That vote's in order. Call the question.
Mayor Clayton's in favor.
That was carried unanimously, and I move to adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much. We'll take a 5-minute break and come back and see you. Thank you.